Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, all you sycophants, stinkos, rock dwellers, all you hateful people who celebrate the president. You know what they call you, but you're always welcome here. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. And joining me as my co host is the patriot from the battle-born state, the silver state of Nevada, and that's Sharron Engel. Sharron, welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
Thanks, Rick. It's always great to be here. And of course, you have to have your eye on what's going on
Indeed,
in the Senate these days with these confirmation hearings. And you just got to kind of scratch your head over these questions that are going out there. I have to, you have a Senator, Cory Booker, that we actually ran a candidate against because we knew this guy was going to be bad.
He's not my senator. I disavow him.
Well, we knew he was trouble from the beginning. So anyway, he's been questioning her, and he says he is interested in the genius of our Constitution. I thought that was really interesting coming from him. If he, what's going on with this guy? He says, he says, do you believe that every president should make commitment unequivocally and resolutely to the peaceful transfer of power? Well, she says that's the genius of the Constitution. I thought that was a great answer, was that you get a peaceful transfer of power if you're doing it the right way, which is constitutionally. So, he's just out there to get you, gotcha, I guess. Mm-hmm. But after him, I think it's really interesting that they have got sex on their brains. It's
Indeed,
like
they do.
It's like they can't get away from it very far. They have to talk about LGBTQ rights, and then they have to talk about abortion, murder of children. It's just, it all has to kind of roll around this idea that they are just, that's where their minds go. Even with her children, it's like that's where their minds go. How can you separate, these children? You're a colonizer if you separate these children out, give them a good home, but they're different race than you are. I mean, it just goes on and on with this.
Sharron, let me interject this because you brought up sex. There was a question asked of Judge Barrett by Senator Arana of Hawaii, and this is really sounding alarms and bells with me. She asked the judge if she ever sexually assaulted anyone. And of course, the judge said no. Now, when you look at Judge Barrett, she's a really, how should I say it? She's a very pretty, small lady. She isn't big. She isn't muscular. The only power that she would have would be power over somebody as far as a job or politically. I'm concerned about this question, that she asked this question out of the blue. And where it sounds bells and alarms for me is she got the judge to say, no, I've never sexually harassed or assaulted anyone. I have a feeling that they wanted to get her on record because when this goes to the full Senate, they're going to pull somebody out of the woodwork, just like they pulled somebody out of the woodwork on Kavanaugh. I have a feeling they're going to pull somebody out of the woodwork who's going to say that Judge Barrett sexually assaulted them. Be careful. Watch that. Mark my word. Why would they ask that question? Why would she specifically ask Judge Barrett if she ever sexually assaulted someone, with all the other questions about how would you rule, what do you think, and all this, to ask her if she ever sexually assaulted somebody out of the blue. Sharron, I think they're trying to set her up for something.
Well, you're probably right. It's probably going to be a little more subtle attack than a sexual assault, though I think this Maisie Hirano is, she goes a bit too far with her words. I don't think that they probably said used her official capacity to gain sexual favors of some kind, or to choose employees that were of one sexual orientation over another, that kind of thing, to make her appear bigoted. And um and and I don't know that you can actually make a sexual assault stick to a woman just because it's kind of like, how does that work? Women, that's not the general rule for women.
That
And as you
side will
say,
stoop to nothing. That
I
side will
know,
do anything,
I
Sharron.
know, but they have to be believable at some level,
No,
or
they
they
don't.
even lose their own guys, don't they?
Well, I say bring it on. I really say bring it on, because look what happened in the Kavanaugh hearing. I've said this before. In my opinion, the hearing saved the Senate for the Republicans. And when you follow the dots, saving the Senate, saving and how to have the vicious attack by the left on Judge Kavanaugh. The American people hated it. It energized our side, Sharron, and it saved the Senate, and again saved the presidency.
I think you're right. And like I said, this Macy Hirano, she is a better broadcaster, I think, than most. She's just not a subtle person. She read that almost verbatim. And when she doesn't read it, she gets off script and they know it. So that's kind of why she read it. We've watched her in action before. And, sometimes people telegraph their own problems. You have to almost ask Mazie Hirano, what goes on in your office, Senator?
Uh, well, Sharron, there's two sets of rules. There's a set of rules for Republicans and a set of rules for Democrats. The set of rules for Republicans is if there's any hit of anything sexual or whatever, it's a big deal. However, if the same set of rules for the Democrats don't apply, because if you sexually harass somebody, oh, that guy, the New York congressman who sent out pictures of his Johnson out on the internet. He's a hero. My gosh, he left the Senate, but he got a big paying job on CNN. It's not Bill Clinton. All the sexual charges against Bill Clinton. Remember the four women who said that Bill Clinton sexually assaulted them, raped them, groped them, all that. Bill Clinton is an idol in the Democrat Party, Sharron. Two sets of rules. One for Democrats, one for Republicans. If Democrats do a sexual crime, they're a hero. If a Republican looks at somebody from the opposite sex wrongly, they're vilified. All right, there it is.
There it is. There it is. Well, I think they will actually try to make something racist stick because of their questioning. The LGBT thing is, or bigoted rather than racist. But even so, they asked her about the George Floyd thing and her children. They asked her about this LGBT thing and how she mischaracterized her terms. They also then went on to discuss Roe v. Wade, and
and let's say what her terms were.
because all of those are about under represented populations and vulnerable populations, and the
Right.
whole idea that you get a judge on the court who is bigoted and you're not going to get fair treatment for all of their pet pet things.
And as far as which the wording she used, and it's the word I've used here in Conservative Commando, Sharron, sexual preference instead of sexual orientation. She used the term sexual preference. And in my way of thinking, I think a lot of it is a sexual preference rather than, oh, this is something genetic and you have no choice. You do have choice, Sharron. You do have choice. And we have seen time and time in case where people have said, well, I like men, I like women. That's preference, isn't it, Sharron Engel? Anyway, let's take a break because we got a lot to talk about after the break, including who our guests are, topics for our conversation, and also some news coming out of the state of Nevada. And I'm sure that our listeners on our Nevada stations want to hear about, but you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And once again, today's show is being brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. Sharron and I will be right back.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
And we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And once again, for rebroadcast, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Our archives are there. Some of the great guests that we have had over the 14 years that we've been doing Conservative Commandos. And Sharron, speaking of guests, we've got 3 other great guests joining us once again today.
That's right. Our first guest is Dr. Carole Lieberman. She's been on before, but she always kind of tickles our ears with the things that she comes up with. Today, we're going to talk about 5 reasons why Joe Biden is too cognitively impaired to serve as president. Now, Dr. Carole Lieberman is an MD, MPH, and a board-certified Beverly Hills psychologist, award-winning and best-selling author, and who better to give us a little psychoanalysis of Joe Biden and his conditions. So
I love the way how she watches these candidates in these debates, Sharron. She was on a couple of weeks ago, right after the presidential debate with you and Melissa Isaac, and she was fantastic. She's trained to pick up on these things. It's great to have her back on.
That's right. It was a great interview with her. And of course, as you pointed out, you can go to our archives and watch that interview. Yeah. Our second guest is Iain Murray. He is a vice president for strategy and a senior fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. He's also directs the Center for Economic Freedom, and he's the author of best-selling books, The Really Inconvenient Truths, and Stealing You Blind, How Government Fat Cats Are Getting Rich Off of You. He is from the UK. Iain immigrated to the US in 1997 and remains a British citizen. So he kind of brings a different perspective, especially on the topic that he's written about. Court packing isn't the left's only threat to the Supreme Court. I didn't realize there were so many ways to make the Supreme Court dysfunctional.
I didn't either, Sharron, and I say this about our guests all the time. I'm their student. They are, at least my teacher, and we learn so much from our guest, Sharron. And
That's
that's
right.
why we hope people like to watch and listen to our show, that they learn too from our guests as well as being entertained.
And our third guest is Jerome Corsi, who's a New York Times bestselling author, investigative journalist, and political analyst. And he worked as a staff writer for WMD.com. Dr. Corsi has published over 25 books, 7 of which are on the New York Times bestsellers list, including the number 1 New York Times bestseller. He has one called The Fight to Save President Trump, and another, How I Became a Political Prisoner of Mueller's Witch Hunt.
Mhm.
And we've asked Dr. Corsi to come on and talk about a myriad of topics today, not the least of which is Biden says he's running for the Senate. What? So here we go. It'll be fun to listen to how Dr. Corsi just kind of parses out all of this goings on that are
Yeah.
happening in our world. And,
It-
I always like to go and get some Nevada centric stuff just because it seems that sometimes what Nevada is experiencing, so is the rest of the United States in one form or another. And we have this huge debt that our state got into because of Harry Reid and Barack Obama. They said they wanted clean energy in our state, and they were going to
makes
they
you
were
chuckle.
going to subsidize it with the federal government funds. Well, guess what happened? We had to write off nearly 12 million in federally funded clean energy loans as a bad debt. It's amazing. We invest this money in clean energy, and guess what? The money never came through or disappeared or something. The fellow that's in charge of it, he said all 8 of the loans went into default between 2011 and 2014.
Sharron, give us a skinny on these debt. Do you have any detail as far as
Yeah,
who got the money?
sure. 3 anaerobic digester systems on a dairy farm in Lyon County to produce biogas. All 3 loans worth a total of 4.19 million were given to a company called Avatar Energy. So it's a dairy farm for biogas. So, and then 1.5 million loan to a project with a company called Sunburst Energy for solar PV systems at 3 schools in my county, Washoe County here in Reno. $2.2 million went to a loan for solar shading over parking areas in Boulder Village, that's down in Clark County or around Las Vegas, which was intended to capture solar energy during the day and be stored for on-site charging. The loan was given to a company called Enigma Energy. 2 loans worth just over $2 million to a company called Birkin Energy for 2 projects at a geothermal plant. $1.9 million loan to a company called H2 Technologies for the installation of a hydrogen fueling station. So here we go. All 8 of these loans were in default. And this Bobsian, David Bobsian, who served in the legislature when I did, he now has been appointed by the governor as a deputy attorney general assigned to the, as the energy guy. He's the energy guy. And so he asked, where did this money go? And he says that all the companies were at the time registered with the state, but said the trail goes cold when trying to track down the named agents or officers for those businesses, almost as if there was no consideration of the possibility of some of these projects would just turn out to be vapor.
Sharron, this is an addition to all that money went for that solar array, right?
Yep.
How much was that solar array?
I can't remember. It seems like 52 million, but that's just the number I'm grabbing out of my head.
Oh, all the green jobs that are going to be created. Here we go. All the great new green energy economy. Yeah, if you want to call losing money an economy, let's add that. Remember Solyndra? Remember the $537 million that went to Solyndra that went up in vapor, I guess, Sharron. I guess it's vapor.
Okay, so here's this guy. He's in the Office of Energy Leadership. And
Wow.
he
Makes
says,
my nose itch. You know, I want to scratch. My nose starts itching because it makes me so angry. I want to fight somebody. You know, they said when your nose itch, you're going to get in a fight with somebody. Makes my nose itch, Sharron.
Okay, says none of those projects were completed. The funds have essentially disappeared. There's no evidence that anything was ever actually done with the money. Nevada was initially awarded $34.7 million in federal funds through the stimulus bill for statewide renewable energy and energy efficient program, which included updating facilities, estate buildings, schools, installing energy efficient traffic signals and streetlights, alternative fuel infrastructure, and developing of a revolving loan fund. The loan program is described as a bridge financing option with eligible participants receiving a minimum of $100,000 and a maximum of $1 million. So there you go. There were actually 23 projects that were awarded funding worth more than $18 million. So the money's disappeared. And I'm glad you asked me to name those companies because, you come in contact with some of these guys. Think about it. These guys are flim-flam guys. Talk about the shell game. You get the money and you leave
Remember
town,
the music,
right?
man? Remember the music, man? We've got trouble. We got right here in River City. Hey, Sharron, got to ask you this. All this money that was doled out for this green energy crap in Nevada, did any of it work out? Answer me honestly. Have you heard of any of these projects that were actually successful? Please tell me there was something.
No,
even if it was a solar parking meter, please tell me there was something that actually worked.
Well, the guy says it all. He says none of those projects were completed and the funds essentially disappeared.
God. And now they want to double down. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the rest of the left want to double down on this garbage, this waste. And every time you talk about $12 million, all right? $12 million in wasted money. And okay, how many taxpayers had to pay their taxes to go to that $12 million that was wasted? Just think of the actual good that could have went to that $12 million. Hey, here's an idea. Take that $12 million, give it back to parents, give it back to the taxpayers so they can send their kids to the school they want to go to.
Well, and actually the number is bigger than 12. It's 34.7 million.
Excuse me.
It's all just right. 12 million that we're talking about some of this stuff, but you're right. Every time we have a shortfall like that, which is what a debt is a shortfall in the budget because that money had to come from someplace to cover that. And when that happens, you and I as a taxpayer have to take up that slack, that shortfall. And always when they talk about shortfalls, beware, because the next tax increase is coming. And what we got was what they're calling the commerce tax. But what it is a gross receipts tax on business, which is an income tax. It's an income tax.
And Sharron, all those taxes get passed on.
We can't have state income tax, but they got around it.
Every tax eventually gets down to the consumer. The consumer pays any tax. Doesn't matter what you call it, the consumer pays a tax. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Dr. Carole Lieberman is going to join us after the break, and she's going to talk about 5 reasons why Joe Biden is impaired, too impaired to serve as president. Just 5, I could think of 105. But we'll be right back with our first guest.
Mom, thank God you're gonna be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. But when I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm gonna call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for a rebroadcast of our show, please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Be sure to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Dr. Carole Lieberman is our first guest. She's an MD as well as a MPH, board-certified Beverly Hills psychiatrist and award-winning and best-selling author. And when Dr. Carole isn't seeing patients or testifying at trials, she's a very busy lady. She's a 3-time Emmy-honored TV personality who's appeared on Oprah, The Today Show, Good Morning America, CNN, Fox News, and a host of others. And she's also an author. And Dr. Carole, is it your latest book for children that we have here, Lions, Tigers, and Terrorists?
Yes, Lions and Tigers and Terrorists, oh my, how to protect your child in a time of terror.
Okay. Dr. Carole, we've asked you to join us to talk about the presidential election, in particular, Joe Biden. And you say that Joe is showing signs of dementia. I'm not a doctor. I don't even want to play one on television. You're the doctor. Tell us what you're seeing.
Well, it is very, very concerning. These days, you don't really have to be a psychiatrist to see that he is having increasingly encroaching dementia. Now, at the beginning, over the years, people made fun of that. Oh, that's Joe. He's just making another gaffe. And, you could laugh at it. You could laugh at it when he wasn't running for president. Mm-hmm. Now, he is showing increasing signs of dementia. Mm-hmm. And there really isn't anything to laugh about. Just the other day, for example, he didn't remember Mitt Romney's name, and he asked people to vote for him for the Senate. I mean, this is serious stuff. Now, when he gave his speech at the Democratic National Convention, he was better than we expected. But, and the same thing actually for the first debate, which clearly shows that there is something else going on, like that he took performance-enhancing drugs, or like, as we saw in video or photos on the internet, there was a wire under his jacket that he was checking. But there have been signs, there are serious signs, like, for example, he forgot the words to the Pledge of Allegiance. And not only did he forget, he's been forgetting all kinds of things, but he didn't look as though he realized that he had forgotten the words, which is more serious than just forgetting. There's also something called confabulation, which is when someone forgets something and they make up a story and they hope that the other people don't realize that this isn't making any sense, or it's just some story. He's showing other things like irritability, when he yelled at that reporter he said he called him a junkie because the reporter asked him a hard question. We certainly saw it in the first debate with him saying inappropriate things to President Trump, like shut up, and called him a clown. And, in other words, these are things that if his brain was working completely, he would have censored himself. He wouldn't have been quite that, childish or inappropriate. So, these are really, and as now that he's been going on the campaign trail and been not just in his basement, and he's a little more tired, that's why we're seeing so many more gaps, because he's not able, and because it's live, at on the campaign trail and all of that. So we're seeing more, and yet the thing is, nobody is doing anything about it. They're still off with our candidate, or oops, we made a mistake, or anything like that. And in 2016, this is something that it's really bothering me, that, not that it's a big surprise, but that the mainstream media isn't covering these things, and I'm going to want to tell you about his physical problems as well. But in 2016, I did a lot of interviews about Hillary and all her medical, and I'm including on some of the mainstream media. And now, 4 years later, they are so much more determined to win at all costs, even if he doesn't have half a brain left, right, that doesn't want it. They don't want anyone coming on and talking about not just the dementia, but also the physical problems. Have you heard anything about his physical problems?
No, well, only from my Facebook friends, and that's one of the things I'm very surprised about, Dr. Carole. There haven't been calls. Here we have two men in their 70s, and I've heard no calls anywhere from anybody about what about a medical exam for these gentlemen.
Well, with Trump having COVID-19 recently, he's had medical exams up the wazoo.
Well, that's true.
Not that they were very forthcoming in reporting all the details, mind you, but we could see, it was an amazing. Did you see the rally in Florida? His first rally after he came out of the hospital. That was amazing, and it was like psychiatrically or psychologically. I think it was because he came close to death, and in his mind, I have COVID, I could die, kind of thing. He faced his mortality, and so he went out on the trail even more determined than ever to win, because he cares about the country. But he had more energy than I remember. He's usually energetic at his rallies, right, and the crowd and all of that, but this was amazing.
Well, it amazed me 4 years ago, especially in the final week or two of the campaign, that he was going all over the country, 6 stops in a day. That was in different states and different parts of the country. I was amazed at that time by his energy. Dr. Carole, how would you compare with what you're seeing with Joe Biden with the final days of the Ronald Reagan presidency? Any relation, things similar there? And of course, Reagan was approaching that age, and we've come to find out later that Reagan was dealing with dementia also. So do you see any similarities?
To be honest, at Reagan's time of his presidency, I wasn't as involved in politics as I am. So I really shouldn't try to answer that.
Well, that's fair, and wouldn't expect you to answer any question you don't want to. But Dr. Carole, you talk about his mental, and you also mentioned his physical. What are you seeing physically from Joe Biden?
A long list. So let me tell you, these are diagnoses that his doctor gave out. Joe Biden's doctor, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, from George Washington Hospital. He gave a history in December 2019. He gave a history of Joe Biden's medical, issues, and the one that he called most noteworthy was, and you can see how this connects, of course, to the dementia, most noteworthy, those are his words, the doctor's words, Biden had an intracranial hemorrhage from a cerebral aneurysm in 1988.
Wow.
And they had that repaired surgically. And while they were working him up to do the surgery for his one aneurysm, they found a second aneurysm. Now, I don't know that I can't say that he has another, that it's something vascular that's contributing to his dementia, but that would certainly be the first place you would look, given his history. But I mean, it almost doesn't matter, except to him and his prognosis, what's causing it, but certainly this is something to be very concerned about. And then after they had the surgery for that, he had deep vein thrombosis and a pulmonary embolism, which is often what happens, especially if you're older, when you lie in bed for a long time after surgery or for anything. And then his problems actually started when he was a teen and young adult. He had exercise-induced asthma, and that left him with bronchospasm. So if he were to get COVID, he would be someone with a serious underlying condition in regard to his lungs. Then he had medication and surgery for benign prostatic hyperplasia. He had his gallbladder removed in 2003. This man has had more surgeries. He had a colonoscopy in 2008 where they found diverticulosis and a non-cancerous adenoma. He's had multiple skin cancers removed. And then currently, he is being treated, or he was in December 2019 by this doctor, for atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation, as I'm sure you know, is a cardiac arrhythmia, a very serious one that can have sudden effects, whether it's a stroke or a heart attack. That is a more serious cardiac arrhythmia. He's had that since 2003, and he takes an anticoagulant. But the anticoagulant isn't a surefire solution. It doesn't mean that it still can't affect him. He has hyperlipidemia, a gastroesophageal reflux, and allergies. Quite a list.
Yeah, Dr. Carole, we got to take a quick break, and I want to bring my co-host Sharron Engel into the conversation. I know Sharron has a lot of questions for you. Could you hold for just a moment for us, please? And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Dr. Carole Lieberman is our guest, and we are discussing the health and the health history of one Joe Biden. Don't go away. We'll be right back right after this break.
Attention homeowners, do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And as I love to do, I'd love to give shout outs to folks who are listening to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., as well as seen on the AUN television in San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, Santa Rosa, Wine Country, Silicon Valley, Fort Bragg, all the way up to Reading. And our guest this segment is Dr. Carole Lieberman. My co-host is Sharron Engel. And Sharron, please pick up the conversation with our guest.
Well, I'd love to say some quotes of yours back to you and have you go a little deeper into those. First of all, you said you were outraged that a political party would dare to try to fool the American public by pretending their nominee isn't too cognitively impaired to serve as president. Now, just dig into that a little bit and kind of divide that out for me a little.
Well, you know, the political landscape has gotten, of course, more divided and more extreme than ever in this country. And so people, you know, and of course, we know that the Democrats have wanted to get rid of President Trump before in 2016. I mean, since he took office, from before, of course, and then since he took office, you know, because he was making a joke the other day in Florida about how, you know, they asked whether he's going to leave office cooperatively or whatever, you know, when they've been trying to get him to leave office since 2016. So it's understandable that with all this extreme, that people are going, you know, to places that they would never go to before, notably the Democratic Party, to get rid of Trump. And, you know, it's interesting that Trump does obviously alienate people. There's a lot of schadenfreude in regard to Trump. People are jealous of him. He's successful. He has a wonderful family. You know, there was a meme or a cartoon the other day asking about, was reporters who were asking Trump hard questions, and they said, Mr. Trump or President Trump, how is it that you can sleep at night, or how do you sleep at night? And he said, naked and with a supermodel. Great. I mean, that's a cartoon. Let's not. There's going to be all kinds. Trump said that. So I mean, not that that isn't something he wouldn't say, but so there's Schadenfreude. People are jealous of his success and his supermodel wife and all of that. And so, which is why they were happy when he got COVID, and even said is that they hoped he would die. So they are willing to go to extremes, apparently, to get somebody to run against him, even somebody who only has half a brain. And I know I'm going to get, people are going to think, oh my God, she said he had half a brain. He has increasingly encroaching dementia, is what I said. And so, it's really kind of a sad commentary on our country that any party couldn't get someone better than Joe Biden to run. I mean, there were all the other people who competed with him to get the nomination. But I think back then they were thinking or hoping that Biden, the reason why they wanted him to run in the first place, and he didn't really want to run at the beginning, but they were hoping that he would bring with him the enthusiasm that people had for Obama. So they were in denial about just how bad his cognitive abilities were. And it was just about, who has the best chance of winning? That was all it was about. And back then they didn't realize that how badly he was going to decompensate before the election.
Well, I'm glad you kind of went into that a little more for us, because that leads me to my second question. The 25th Amendment says that if the president is not able to perform his duties, and I want to stop there. First of all, with all of these things that he's got wrong, the presidency is pretty stressful. How would stress play in all of the things that you just described to Rick in the first half? How does stress play a part in that?
Yes, that's a good question. Stress really does, for anybody, it exacerbates whatever your physical weaknesses are. We're all undergoing election stress disorder. So whatever in our body has been a system, or an organ or some problem that is more fragile than the other organs, those are going to show the effect of stress first or hardest. And so with all this whole laundry list of medical problems that I read about Biden and his encroaching dementia, those are going to get much worse, much faster. For example, his cardiac arrhythmia, the stress, of course, works on your heart. And, it's just a matter of time, really. I know Joe Biden needs to be in a doctor's office. I feel bad saying it's just a matter of time before he's going to have full dementia, before he's going to have a heart attack or whatever. But he should be in a doctor's office, not on the campaign trail. I feel sorry for him.
Well, that was the second quote that I wanted to say, that you said it's a cruel hoax being perpetrated not only on the American public, but on Biden himself. Is he a sacrificial lamb? Are they, it's almost like they know it's going to kill him to get into the presidency. They have already they've already kind of broadcast their plans with Trump, with the 25th Amendment, saying that he wouldn't be able to perform the duties of the president, and so the vice president would have to take over. Now, we don't see that at all in Trump, but we certainly see it in Biden, don't we?
Yes. They have been trying. There's this group in particular, a group led by a psychiatrist, and there's a book, and they, tried to say that to get Congress to use the 25th Amendment to get Trump out, based on psychological issues like narcissism, malignant narcissism. I mean, big deal. First of all, I don't know whether it's malignant. Yes. Is he narcissistic? Of course, one would have to say yes. But so are most presidents who, you have to have some degree of narcissism to say, hey, I'm good enough to run for president of the United States. So they've been trying to get Trump out with psychological issues, and they're still doing that, trying that. But it's been radio silence in regard to Biden and trying to get him out with the more obvious dementia issues.
Well, and I hate to say that they're that cold-hearted, but that's the way it looks from the outside to me, just like it's a setup. They want Kamala Harris in there. They've kind of wanted her in from the beginning because she's actually the more left of the two. And if he dies in the process of getting her there, oh well. Is that kind of how you see it?
Well, yeah, I think so, because he certainly has tried to pretend or, that he's not as left, that he's not as progressive. He talked about not being for the Green New Deal. He doesn't really remember what he's talking about, but I think that made some people who were more progressive not happy. And so, yeah, and, I mean, we talked before about the debate, and if you think about having Kamala as president, I mean, that's a very scary thought. So, yeah, yes. Do I think some people in the Democratic Party are thinking that, yeah, Joe will get in, and he won't last very long, whether it's the 25th Amendment or, just something obvious, he retires, I don't know what you recuses himself, whatever you call it. And then she comes in and she brings her friends with her, Ilhan Omar and AOC and all these super dangerous people. Do you know that Ilhan Omar has already been engaged in very serious, very large ballot harvesting in Minneapolis? I mean, they have it on tape. They are going into the community and trying to get people like the older people, people who are too tired to pay attention to it, or who they can put one over on. And then they're paying people to give them their ballots. And even in the polls.
Well, it feels like they've pulled out all the stops, and that, murder might be on the list. And I know I'm going to get some pushback from that. But when you put a man in this condition in a place where stress is his worst enemy and expect him to survive that, I think that many of us are holding our breaths to see if he'll even survive the campaign. But we're going to have to leave it right there.
Can I just mention one
Sure.
Trying to get a second live debate in order to show some of these things that we've been talking about. And so I did a change.org petition that's called Save Our Election, Demand 2 more in-person debates, no valid medical reason for virtual. They're each going to be doing a town hall kind of thing, and but that's not the same. That's not the same stress on Biden as an actual debate would be.
Well, like I said, I'm not sure he can survive that kind of stress after you've enumerated the problems that he has. Could you tell our listeners not only how to find that petition, but how to friends who follow you keep in touch with you?
Sure. Well, the petition, if you go to my Twitter, which is at Dr. Carole MD, at DrCarolemD, you will see I have the petition on there a couple of times, so you can click on it to sign it. But also you can just go to change.org and put in the title, Save Our Election, Demand 2 more in-person debates. My website is drcarole.com, again, drcarole.com, and terrorist therapist. But I think, I do a couple of radio podcasts. And one of them is called Dr. Carole's Couch. It's on voiceamerica.com. And I did a whole show yesterday about all of these issues, about Biden and about Trump and about the Supreme Court nominee and those hearings and so on. So if anyone would like to hear me go rant on, you can go to Dr. Carole Couch.
Well, it sounds like another show, Dr. Carole Lieberman. We're so grateful to you for being here and being our guest. Take care, and God bless you.
Thank you. You too.
And we are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, AM, FM 24/7. And of course, you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. I'm Sharron Angle with my co-host, Rick Trader. We'll be right back with our next guest, Iain Murray, who's Vice President for Strategy and a Senior Fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, who's going to be talking about court packing isn't the left's only threat to the Supreme Court. We'll be right back after these messages.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
And once again, we want to welcome you. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for a rebroadcast of our show, the place to go is our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. You could also check out the website of the AUN Television Network at aun-tv.com and our new Roku channel. So we're everywhere. There's no excuse anymore. And with that, Sharron, we do have our next guest with us, and the honor of the introduction is yours.
It's an honor and a pleasure for me to introduce Iain Murray, who is Vice President for Strategy and Senior Fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Iain also directs the Center for Economic Freedom. He's an author of best-selling books, The Really Convenient Truths and Stealing You Blind, How Government Fat Cats Are Getting Rich Off of You. He has written extensively on free markets and environment, labor policy, finance, the EU, and trade. He tweets at ISMurray and is contributing editor to instapundit.com. Before coming to the CEI, Iain was director of research at the Statistical Assessment Service. A former civil servant in the United Kingdom, Iain immigrated to the U.S. in 1997 and remains a British citizen. Iain, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
It's a delight to be with you today, Sharron.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you, and you've written a great article. Court packing isn't the left's only threat to the Supreme Court. I was shocked. I didn't realize there were so many ways to undermine the Supreme Court. You know, we get kind of irritated with those guys for legislating from the bench, but I'm not sure that we want to get rid of them. They're part of the checks and balances. They're part of what makes us a constitutional republic. So, first of all, let's go into some of these things. Maybe we need to define court packing. The Democrats seem to have a little different definition than the rest of us. So maybe we should set the terms here, and then we'll go into the other ways that they've thought up to undermine their authority.
Well, absolutely. Court packing has a generally accepted meaning. They've tried to change that in the last few days, but if you look it up on Wikipedia, if you look it up in the history books, you'll find that it's basically what Franklin D. Roosevelt, when he was president and he was facing an intransigent Supreme Court that wouldn't let him do the things he wanted to do with the New Deal, he proposed expanding the Supreme Court so that he'd have enough justices on it who agreed with his policies that they would just nod it through, agree the National Recovery Administration and other New Deal elements were constitutional, and that'd be great. And what's interesting is that although he proposed this, and this is what we now know of as court packing, and he had a huge majority in the US Senate, an effort to do this went down 76-15. So even in those days, court packing was viewed by the Democrat Party as a step too far.
As a step too far. And I guess I want to read your last sentence before we get into this. The last sentence of your article, I think, is really good. In general, it's a bad idea to give government powers that you would not like your opponents to have. It presupposes that the left will be in the majority forever, starting with the next election. Like socialist economic policies, it's a judicial philosophy based on self-delusion. So here we go into that self-delusion. There are three things you say that they could do that are almost, in my mind, more egregious than the court packing scenario. So let's start out with undoing judicial review. What does that mean?
Well, yes. I mean, these are three policies that socialists in America have espoused for a very long time. See, the thing is that socialists, because they believe in the complete rule of the majority, this is why they claim to be democratic socialists. They always say that, democratic socialists. So they believe that anything that is passed by Congress should be the rule, and the court shouldn't have anything to say about this. This is actually their first demand, is to get rid of judicial review. Judicial review is that process by which we as citizens can say we've been harmed by this law, we think it's against the Constitution, judges, can you take a look? That's judicial review. And so it goes all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says, yes, this is unconstitutional, or yes, this is constitutional. That's the process of judicial review. Because socialists say that anything the Congress passes should be without question, they want to get rid of that. And this has been an aim of theirs for a very long time.
Okay, the second one is jurisdiction stripping.
Yes, this is a very interesting one because the Constitution actually gives Congress the power to say where which laws the federal courts can have the appellate jurisdiction over. So when the Constitution absolutely says that there are certain things that the federal courts can have a look at, but Congress can actually say that these decisions can't be appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court. Now, this is something that occasionally in the past people have looked at. The conservative Chief Justice during Nixon's time, Warren Burger, actually suggested that that Congress should do this to stop the Supreme Court from finding busing unconstitutional. But they've generally stepped back from this. But this is an interesting one because it's complicated, it's limited to the individual laws, and so it's possible that if they start doing it in a few uncontroversial cases, then it might just get generally accepted that yes, Congress can do that. I think that's why we really, as conservatives, we really need to be alert to what could be going on here.
Well, and the third one is supermajority rule. How does that work?
Well, this is completely within Congress's power. They can say that if you want to find something constitutional or unconstitutional, that you need to have a supermajority on the Supreme Court. In other words, not just a majority, not just 5-4 out of the 9 justices we currently have, but 6-3 or perhaps even 7-2. Some people have even suggested that the court needs to be unanimous to do this. So again, that's something that the court, the socialists might attempt to foist on us. Interestingly, it's the sort of thing that might actually appeal to some conservatives, because we've seen how 5-4 majority decisions have expanded the meaning of the Constitution, how certain rights have basically been invented by the Supreme Court thanks to 5-4 majority decisions. So conservatives might think, oh well, this sounds like a good idea, but all you need is for Congress to vote to take away your guns, and for a supermajority decision to be attached to that, and all of a sudden America is disarmed.
All of a sudden, it looks like all of a sudden a lot of things could happen if they put some of this into practice, and none of it requires a constitutional amendment.
No. In fact, at least in the case of jurisdiction stripping and supermajorities, those powers are explicitly granted to Congress in the Constitution. Alexander Hamilton talked about jurisdictions in one of the Federalist papers and said that this really has to be a power that's given to Congress. So the founders did actually think about this, but over the years it's become unthinkable, at least to conservatives, that something like this should happen. But socialists are very good at exploiting the loopholes, and I think that they've found one here.
It sounds like it. So where do we, the people, fall in here? I mean, it almost leaves us vulnerable, because if you have no place to appeal decisions or laws, I mean, it's really difficult right now just to get standing in a court to have your case heard.
Oh, it's extraordinarily difficult to get standing. In many of the cases that my organization CEI brings to try and uphold the Constitution, we're told that we don't have standing. You actually have to have somebody who has been badly hurt by a law before you can even think about taking it to the court. In many ways, standing is an issue the Conservatives ought to be much more concerned about.
Well, I know it is a concern, and I can't see where we might even get standing in something like this when the Congress just says, oh, well, we're just going to do it this way now. In court, you're going to have to go along with it. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, NetTalk American, AM, FM 24/7. I'm Sharron Engel here with my co-host, Rick Trader. We've been talking with Iain Murray, who is Vice President for Strategy and Senior Fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. He's written a really amazing article about court packing isn't the left's only threat to the Supreme Court. We'll be right back after these messages.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Once again, for rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Be sure to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Iain Murray is our guest. He's a vice president for strategy and a senior fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, talking about an article he has written. Court packing isn't the left's only threat to the Supreme Court. Iain, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time. You know, Iain, it seems to me it's not only a threat to the Supreme Court, but it's a threat to what we have relied on in this country since the beginning, and that is our Constitution and the equal power in the 3 branches of government. Do you also see it that way?
Well, very much so. I think there was an open question right at the beginning as to the power of the judiciary, but that was settled in 1803. There was a court case called Marbury versus Madison, where the then Chief Justice John Marshall said that it is clear that from the Constitution that it's the court's job to say what the law is. Mm-hmm. And we've accepted that since 1803. The socialists like to say, "Oh, well, this is just a very recent development in constitutional theory." No, it's been there since 1803. So, for us to upend that now whether it be via court packing or by jurisdictions stripping or supermajorities or whatever, that would be a radical departure from the constitutional settlement that we've lived under for the last 200 years.
Yeah. And one of the things that I have learned or have gotten an understanding of in watching the hearings to confirm Judge Barrett was, in order to bring suit, one party has to have an injury, not necessarily a physical injury, but it's something that's hurting them, and that's what you must have to bring a suit. And so, therefore, you have to have, with our way of laws, you have to have an injured party who has gone to court, and for whatever reason, either side is not in agreement with the court's decision or the settlement, takes it to another court and not happy there, and eventually ends up in the Supreme Court. Another thing, and I say this all the time here on Conservative Commandos, and Sharron will attest to this, I learned so much from my guests. And in reading your article, I found it very interesting that Great Britain has no constitution, relying instead on custom. I thought that was very interesting. And you also have in your article, Americans generally support the power of courts and the rule of law. And what is constitutional or is unconstitutional. Where these two things alarm me, Iain, is this. There is a large segment in our country who want to ignore our constitution and look at customs in Europe. And if they look at Great Britain not having a constitution and your laws being judged by custom, I see this as another threat to our Constitution, to our separation of powers. Am I looking? Do you see where I'm getting at, Iain? That the left could look at this and say, "Oh, we don't have to do it this way. Look what they do in Britain. They don't have a constitution. They go on custom."
I think this is a very important distinction. The American system is based on the British system, which at one point had separation of powers. But over the last 200 years, the two constitutions have diverged considerably. The British system now has basically the executive and the legislature are merged, and the judiciary is subservient to both of them. So what you have now is a situation where the head of the executive is whoever has the majority in their equivalent of Congress, the Parliament, and so that head of the executive then gets his government departments to write laws, which are then rubber stamped normally by the Parliament, and the courts say, well, that's the law. You must follow the law. And so the debate is only over whether you are following the law or whether you are not over whether the law is constitutional or not. It used to be the case that judges in the United Kingdom could say, no, this is not in keeping with our unwritten constitution. But that has not been the case for a very long time now. And that is actually the process by which the British people were disarmed.
I'm sorry.
So 100 years ago, gun ownership was common in Britain. And then in 1920, they passed a law because they were afraid of a Bolshevik revolution like it happened in Russia. They passed a law severely restricting the arms that the people could keep and bear. And they just chipped away at this over the next 50 or 60 years until eventually ownership of any sort of firearm in the UK is now illegal, and the courts could not do anything to stop it.
Iain, you and Sharron were talking about the idea of court packing, is thought of, what FDR tried to do, all right? You also mentioned that it was even unpopular among his party. But the problem here, as I see it, Iain, that party has gone crazy. They will do anything to regain power. And I would think that if the President Biden, who had the House, who had the Senate, decided to pack the courts, or maybe even he might not make the decision to pack the courts. I think his party would push him to pack the courts. Different, the Democratic Party of my mother and father is not the same Democratic Party that we're dealing with today. Do you also see it the same way?
I've actually just written a book about this called The Socialist Temptation, which is about how the socialism has gone from being a very, very minor part of American political life to taking over a wing of the Democrat Party, especially the young people in the Democrat Party, and how socialism is, just like we've been discussing, very hostile to the American constitutional settlement. So 20 years ago, if we'd been having this conversation, we wouldn't have had this conversation because the Constitution was accepted by virtually everybody in American politics. It's the growth of this socialist tendency on the left in American politics, which is rejecting our constitutional settlement, even the very concept of rights, in favor of this majoritarian view that if the people speak, then everybody has to listen to them, whatever the people say, and as a result, we've got this strange dichotomy in American politics where both sides no longer agree on the ground rules, and that's causing an enormous amount of harm, I think.
My way of thinking, that's exactly why we need the separation of powers, the three branches of government, and a deciding body, the Supreme Court, to keep everything under control. Iain Murray, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Conservative Commandos radio show. Iain, please tell our audience how they could follow your work, the work of the Competitive Enterprise Institute, and also your book, Socialist Temptation. Where can they get that?
Yes, you can get the Socialist Temptation currently at Amazon or Barnes & Noble. You can get the ebook version via Kindle or Nook. I believe it is now starting to be available in some of the booksellers like Books A Million around that still exist around the country. So if you don't find it there, you can ask them to order it for you. And my work is available at cei.org, and we work a lot on these litigation issues and a lot on the issues of regulation that really affect everyday Americans in their everyday life.
Iain Murray, again, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time you spent with us. Take care and God bless.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be speaking with Dr. Jerome Corsi, New York Times best-selling author. We're going to be talking about a myriad of issues, including Biden says he's running for the Senate. Hello, Joe. Wake up. Time to get out of your basement. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our next guest.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is Sharron Angle. And I want to give a shout out to the folks who listen to us and watch us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C., and also seen on the AUN television network in San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Wine Country, Fort Bragg, and Redding, and hopefully very soon in Carson City, Reno, and in Las Vegas. And with that, Sharron, our next guest is with us, and he's getting to be a longtime friend of the show. And as you do with all our guests, Sharron, please make him feel welcome.
Well, it's always a pleasure and a privilege to introduce Dr. Jerome Corsi, New York Times best-selling author, investigative journalist, and political analyst. He worked as a senior staff reporter for WND.com, and since 2004, Dr. Corsi has published over 25 books, 7 of which were New York Times bestsellers, including 2 #1 best-selling New York Times bestsellers. In 2018, he published, or Newsmax published, his Killing the Deep State, The Fight to Save President Trump. And he has written a firsthand account of his experience with the Mueller office of special counsel in his book, Silent No More, How I Became a Political Prisoner of Mueller's Witch Hunt. His most recent book, Coup d'etat, Exposing Deep State Treason and the Plan to Re-elect President Trump, is also available in audiobooks and in ebook formats. Dr. Corsi, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Great to be back with you, Sharron. Thank you.
Well, we want to talk to you about a bunch of things, but let's start out with a really obvious gaffe. Is it a gaffe, or what's going on here? Biden says he's running for the Senate while Trump is healthy and campaigning. Where's Biden at besides the basement?
Well, Biden's obviously going through some form of dementia. And I don't think anyone seriously expects, even if he were to win, that he'd be president for very long. John Kerry recently also had a gaffe. He said he was looking forward to President Obama being in the White House. I mean, there is a a plot out there that is pretty far-fetched of using the 25th Amendment. The Democrats are into every kind of chaos they can cause. They're revolutionaries. They're Marxists. They want to use this lawfare. So they think if they can have enough voter fraud and contest the election in the courts, that the election might not have enough momentum for either candidate to get the 271 votes in the Electoral College, that it could get thrown to the House of Representatives to decide the election, and the House could pick as its leader Barack Obama. It doesn't have to have the leader of the House does not have to be a member of the House. And then Barack Obama, under a loophole in the 22nd Amendment, which says he could only be elected twice, but he could serve a maximum of 10 years, could be appointed through the House of Representatives for the extra 2 years.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's a lot of this insanity going around. I think we've seen a bizarre 2020. I don't expect it to be any less bizarre through the election and the remainder of the year, but I do expect Donald Trump is going to win.
Okay, so let's talk about the next thing. You're calling this hearings that they're having for confirmation the Democrat clown show. So talk about what's going on over there in the confirmation hearings.
Well, I mean, the Democrats are out front now. They're showing America. They're supporting Antifa and Black Lives Matter violence. They're Maoist groups or Stalinist groups. We know that they're revolutionary. That's okay with the Democrats. The Democrats are supporting this critical race theory. Their questions they're asking about sustained racism to Amy Coney Barrett. They're clearly, they want to kill babies. Every other question is about Roe v. Wade, and every other question from that is about creating a national program of health care where the health care can be rationed and the Democrats can decide when the old people die or who's qualified to get any health care at all. So they're on their agenda, and they're making fools of themselves as far as I can see, because they're so out front ideologically. And Kamala Harris, when she's asking questions, it's just so smug. I mean, her facial gestures. This woman is got a very unattractive history, unattractive personality. She's a radical communist and trying to hide it. And, now Biden won't tell you whether he's going to pack the court. I mean, this is a bizarre campaign. I'm thinking he's like a Potemkin candidate. The Democrats know that he's only holding a place there. He's really not a real village. He's just an empty shell that they think they could elect because of not having him appear in public. I think the Obama campaign is truly collapsing and imploding every day. And some of the new developments that we're getting about Hunter Biden, I think, are prompting that demise.
Okay, so let's move along then with the FBI and CNN and the Russian disinformation specialists and the op-eds as their primary evidence when investigating non-crimes that did not happen. So what's going on over there? Is that still happening with the FBI, or have we turned a corner and brought that agency back under some authority?
I think the entire FBI and the Department of Justice are corrupt. They're packed with globalists from Washington Beltway. Obama has gotten all of his operatives in these agencies, as he has the military, as he has in the IRS. My solution to the federal government is to move the bureaucracy to Death Valley and have all these guys leave because they won't be wanting to leave their little Georgetown Beltway bubble and their cozy little lifestyles back in Washington, D.C. I think basically what we're seeing is President Trump now realizes the Barr is going to do no indictments. Barr has proven himself to be completely worthless and another cover-up artist. And Durham has no courage to bring indictments against any of these people. He says, oh, well, they thought they were looking for Russians, so we're going to excuse them all. The truth is what President Trump has done, following what he had Grinnell as acting DNI, Director of National Intelligence, and now Radcliffe as Director of National Intelligence do, is declassify documents. And so this has been taken inside the White House. Jay Sekulow is working on this. And we're going to see a series of disclosures. The most explosive so far have been Brennan's note, which I think basically was a CYA, basically saying that Hillary was the one who invented out of whole cloth the Russian stealing the DNC emails. I think Brennan was in on that with GCHQ, which is the British intelligence, their version of the NSA. This was an intelligence agency plot that Hillary advanced in order to cover up her emails and her server emails. And the FBI and Department of Justice at the top level, CIA, knew this was Russian disinformation in the Steele dossier. They still advanced it to the FASB, to the foreign court, the court where you can get these foreign orders to do wiretapping on Carter Page and George Papadopoulos. And what I see happening here is a coup d'etat. The American people now know that it was Hillary Clinton making it up in whole cloth. They now know the Clinton Foundation is under investigation. They now know that the documents are held. We just got documents showing that the FBI was leaking to favorable reporters like David Ignatius in the press, who then picked up the Steele dossier, known by the FBI to be unverifiable. So they would report it as true. And the circular reporting the FBI could see say, look, the Washington Post verifies it. So the FBI was getting cozy with the press and leaking to it left and right. And we now know that from this spreadsheet that has been released, where the tracking was done of all the contacts between the FBI and the press to lead to these leaks of the Steele dossier to try to give it some substance. With Donald Trump releasing the documents, the story has changed, and the American people now understand that this was a coup d'etat from the beginning, and that Hillary, Obama, Comey, Brennan were all the chief traitors involved.
Okay, so we understand it, but now you're saying that Bill Barr, the one we thought was going to be our champion, is not really. Where do we turn? Will we ever see indictments? Will we ever see justice?
I think we will, but it's going to be after the election. I think that right now Donald Trump is going to make sure that the American people know enough of the truth through these declassified documents. One came out this morning. New York Post published it. Again, you're going to get a lot of documents dumped from now on. This is, I think, Donald Trump's plan, and it's a good one. But this was a laptop that evidently belonged to Hunter Biden that the FBI's had since December. I guess they brought it to a repair shop because it had water damage. Well, the guy who was repairing it copied the hard drive, and that's come public. It has sex and drug videos of Hunter Biden on it, in which he looks terrible. Some of those pictures are beginning to come out today. And it also makes it clear that there's a memo in there where the Ukrainian Burisma officials are thanking Hunter for getting a meeting with Joe Biden as vice president, when Vice President Biden has told the press he never had any discussions with Hunter Biden about his overseas activities. So now we've got Biden in yet another lie. As that develops, Biden's again canceling his campaign. He's putting a lid on his operations at 11 o'clock in the morning. He said yesterday he's campaigning, this week he said he was campaigning for Senate. I think they've given him the maximum amount of drugs they can get him to have him be cogent. And now the drugs aren't doing any good. So Biden is going to be completely incoherent from now until the end of the campaign, asking where he is. And more and more revelations are going to come out, which are going to expose the massive corruption with China, Ukraine, the massive hatred of Donald Trump and the bureaucracy, and the inability of Barr and all the rest of them to get anything done. Trump, when he wins, I think would be well advised to send the whole bureaucracy to Death Valley and start over again.
Which he should have done at the beginning of his first administration. Yeah. So we have to go to a break. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet. TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM/FM 24/7. Of course, you can watch us in Northern California on the AUN TV network. We've been talking with Jerome Corsi, who's a New York Times bestselling author, investigative journalist, and political analyst, about the October surprise. I'm surprised when I see these documents coming out. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Rick Trader, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
And once again, we want to welcome you back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And if you want to see or hear a rebroadcast or maybe share it with their friends, first place goes our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Then go to the website of the AUN Television Network at aun-tv.com. See all the great shows that are part of the network. And also don't forget to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Dr. Jerome Corsi is our guest. He's a New York Times best-selling author, investigative journalist, and political analyst. He's a prolific writer. See all those books behind him? He's probably written every single one of them. Dr. Corsi, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time. Dr. Corsi, when you talk about the health of Joe Biden, when you talk about the health of Donald Trump, to me it's like day and night. When you look at the two's rallies, I mean, you couldn't have more different rallies. You see President Trump amongst thousands and thousands of people doing what looked like to me to be an Irish jig on stage. When you look at Joe Biden, you see a tired old man in front of 2 or 3 people. I mean, what a stark contrast as far as the rallies, as far as the energy and the health of these two men.
Well, I judge presidential contests. I've been watching them since I was a kid. One of the optics, the energy, the excitement, whether the candidates got any charisma or not. Well, Donald Trump certainly has charisma. I mean, to me, he looks more healthy than when he went into the hospital with COVID, and he was there for 3 days. I think he could recommend COVID as a health treatment. He looks younger. He looks thinner. He's got more energy. He's going to do a campaign every day, it seems, and out there with the people. He loves it. He seems to thrive on the energy of these campaigns. And, you know, I don't think Joe Biden could pay 10 people to attend a rally. And who would bother? I mean, they're so boring and so disconnected. At any rate, you've also got optics in the campaign. I mean, look at what the Democrats are saying. They're going to end the tax cuts that President Trump put into place. They're going to massively raise taxes. They're going to pack the Supreme Court so we get only leftist determinations. They're going to put 2 more states into the union, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico, so we get more Democratic congressmen and senators. They're going to end the Electoral College so that New York and L.A. elect the president. They're going to destroy the First Amendment, destroy the Second Amendment, take away your guns, and Antifa are going to be the police. Now, who wouldn't like that? Compared to Donald Trump, who says we're going to have a vibrant economy, we're going to capitalism, we're going to get things going. You've even got Latinos are coming out for him now, 30,000 or 35,000 vehicles, because the Latinos are saying, wait a minute, we just got out of Cuba, we got out of Venezuela, don't give us Biden, don't give us the socialists. So Biden's lost a lot of the Latino vote, he's lost a lot of the black vote. What's clear now from these Amy Coney Barrett hearings, the Democrats want victims. They want people who need health care. All these sad stories of these people with no money and they can't afford this, and it's government that protects them. I don't want government protecting me from anything. I want government in Death Valley, get rid of it. You know, Donald Trump is offering that alternative. I think millions of people in America are saying we want to go back to work. We want to get rid of these Democrats. I think they're going to go down the ticket, and anywhere there's a Democrat, people are going to vote against them. And I think they're going to come out in massive numbers in person because they're well aware now of the voter fraud, these mail-in ballots. I mean, I've got one right here, okay? Here's my mail-in ballot. I didn't ask for it. There it is right there. I got mine right there. Yeah. I'm saving it to prove to them when I go vote in person that I didn't use it.
Dr. Corsi, when you talk about the rallies, I really question the polls because I'm seeing the same thing this year that I saw 4 years ago, and let me tell you what that is. When you look at the polls, Trump's down in most of the polls, but when you look at the rallies, thousands of people are going to his rallies. Thousands more are watching on the internet. Joe Biden is being ignored. I saw the same thing 4 years ago. Trump's rallies were massive. People watching on the internet, massive. Nobody was going to see Hillary Clinton. Nobody was watching her, yet she was way ahead in the polls. I think and I hope that what we're seeing is a duplicate of 4 years ago. Even the polls, the state polls, where they have Trump down this time, at this time 4 years ago, he was down by about the same amounts in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, in the battleground states. So I think that there's going to be a big surprise. But I wanted to ask you about the next 4 years, the next 4 years of a Trump administration. What difference do you think it'll be? I think he's going to finally do what he said he was going to do. He couldn't really do in his first term, and that's completely drain the swamp and really push in his ideas.
Well,
what do you see as a second Trump term?
I've watched Trump for years in New York, and it's best not to lose to Trump. Basically, I don't think he's going to. First of all, the social media, which have now just gone completely in for the censoring. They're not even, being coy about it anymore. They're just out there censoring Trump and censoring anything they don't like. They're asking for it. They're asking for having the Section 230 be repealed. They put their heads on the chopping block and said, "We dare you." The pro sports. Look at the numbers. Woke is broke. Well, okay, universities want to be woke. Let them be broke too. Let's end the student tuition program. Let's put these universities out of business. People are learning they can go to school, and by using the internet. Let's get rid of the public school systems and the teachers' unions. As I say, move the federal government out of Washington. Close the FBI and the Department of Justice. They're corrupt. The IRS. You can't fix them. There's no way to fix these people, and I think you've got to have a massive purging now that America sees that the Democrats are communist. This is a fundamental shifting of the. Every now and then we get an election that it represents a rearrangement, a shifting of the voting electorate in a massive way, not just a shifting, but a realignment of voters. Trump is really not a GOP candidate. He's drawing his strength from people who believe in America, who believe in the Constitution, who want judges who are not making up laws on their own to get socialist agendas in there, who are tired of being told not to believe in God, not to have guns, not to work, not to earn money. The opportunity of America is to be able to achieve and to have the benefit of your labor mean that you get material rewards and you can advance yourself spiritually at the same time realizing that the spiritual advancement is part of the material advancement. You've got to believe in God, you've got to pray, and you've got to live a moral life. And if you do, you have the chances of succeeding. The point is, I think the Democrats are now a communist party. And this election in part, I sometimes think they intended for Joe Biden to lose because they want to get rid of the moderates within the Democratic Party, get rid of them. All the Hubert Humphrey, John Kennedy, get rid of all those people. Now it's communism. Now it's, Perez, who heads the Democratic Party, Tom Perez, La Raza. It's a radical leftist agenda. It's revolutionary. It'll have a very small group belonging to it, but they will be radical and violent. And that'll be opposed to the vast majority of Americans who don't want anything to do with socialism or communism. So I think the Democrats are asking to have a bounty put on their backs and to be hunted down by Americans as they should be and imprisoned for their violent revolutionary activity. Finally, we get to see it. And the realignment, I think, means that the Democratic Party is kaput. It's done. Finished. Rest in peace. It's DOA. It's not going anywhere. And I think it's going to suffer massive losses. The polls are wrong. They oversample Democrats. They ask the questions the wrong ways. There's only 2 or 3 questions that matter. They ask people, are you better off now than, and some 56% of the Americans say they're better off now in the middle of COVID shutdowns than they were under Obama. Well, presidents who have that index in their favor by more than 50 or 51 points going into an election tend to win. And I think you're going to find, Matt, that the turnout for Donald Trump is going to be like the turnout that you see for the rallies. And the turnout that people voting for Joe Biden is like the turnout you see for his rallies. There's not going to be any youth excitement. The youth have been trained not to vote. It's a a colonial
What
activity where
about
it's racist.
Dr. Corsi, what about voter fraud? That's the one thing that really has me concerned. I know it has Sharron concerned also.
Well, first of all, they're doing it in such a massively poor way. It's obvious. All these ballots being circulated, dumped, everything. The challenges from the courts, I think, are winning for the Democrats. Not winning. The Republicans are winning in the courts. Now, and it's almost like an act of God that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, in answer to prayers, that she died. I mean, the Democrats are mad she didn't hold on for a couple more months. Now we get, if Judge Barrett is on the court, we've got a good, solid majority. I think even, John Roberts is going to have to reconsider his leftist hatred of Donald Trump. Whatever's gone wrong with him, I don't know. But you're going to have a solid group. When the court challenges to the elections come in, you're not going to have Ruth Bader Ginsburg there to say, oh, they're suppressing the vote and all these other leftist lies that we hear. I think we have the chance to get voter IDs, to get voting integrity back. If you have to have an ID or social security number to almost anything in America that's of any significance, get a job, let your kid play in Little League Baseball. Of course, that's all shut down with COVID. At any rate, the point is you have to have an ID to vote, and you have to be a citizen to vote.
Yeah, I think they should also do what they do in Iraq, dump their thumb in a bottle of ink. Hey, Dr. Jerome Corsi, we've got to run, but we want you to tell our audience how they could follow your work, read your articles, get your books, and also your podcast.
CorsiNation.com, CorsiNation.com. We do a podcast every day at 11 o'clock Eastern Time for about an hour and a half. And it's on many channels. It's on Twitter and YouTube until they throw us off. Vimeo until they throw us off. Cloud Hub, we have our own channel, 119. It's on Corsi Nation. It has a lot of material. We have a tele-MD program with doctors who can prescribe hydroxychloroquine and zinc, even for prophylaxis. And I think that's going to be important also with flu season. We're now offering test kits. We're doing a lot on the website. There's a lot of free videos, a lot of content, a couple of free ebooks on hydroxychloroquine and on the Marxist revolution techniques. And I've written a lot of ebooks that are there. CorsiNation.com is where you can find all that we're doing.
Also on the AUN television network, we carry your show each and every day. I look forward to going on your website every day to see what you're talking about next.
I appreciate it.
Dr. Jerome Corsi, again, we want to thank you so much for joining us here in Conservative Commandos. Keep up the great work, my friend. Take care, and God bless.
God bless, and God bless your great audience. Thank you, Sharron, and thank you, Rick.
And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show. Sharron and I will be back with more right after this break.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Well, Sharron, that just about wraps it up for today's show. And as always, I appreciate you and want to thank you for sitting in as my co-host. But Sharron, for our listeners and viewers out there that want to find out more about what you're up to, tell them how they can do that.
Just go to SharonAngle.com, SharonAngle.com. I want to thank our guests. I want to thank Dr. Carole Lieberman, who's a Beverly Hills certified psychiatrist, and she says there's at least 5 reasons why Joe Biden is too cognitively impaired to serve as president. And we discussed the stress of the presidency might just be the end of him. Our second guest, we want to thank Iain Murray, who's the Vice President for Strategy and Senior Fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, writing about court packing, but it isn't the only threat to the Supreme Court. Very educational and enlightening. And finally, our good longtime friend, Dr. Jerome Corsi, who talked to us about a myriad of different topics. I guess my favorite was the October surprise, what's happening with all these unredacted documents being released now by the Trump administration. So stay tuned. It gets better and better.
Stay tuned. There's more to come. But for right now, we're out of time. We got to run and we got to go. As always, take care. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.